Imagine being stranded in the vast, unforgiving Pacific Ocean. A place so immense and treacherous that it can swallow ships whole, where survival is a distant dream, and hope is as fragile as a flame in the wind. This is the incredible story of Jose Salvador Alvarenga, a man who defied every odd imaginable. For 14 months, he battled raging storms, relentless hunger, and the despair of solitude. He didn't just survive, he made history. But his return to land marked the start of yet another ordeal, one no less challenging than the ocean itself. Let's dive into this gripping tale of survival, grit, and the unyielding will to live. It all began in November 2012, in a small fishing village on the coast of Mexico. Jose, a seasoned fisherman of 36 years, was no stranger to the sea's unpredictability. On that fateful day, he set out with his partner in a modest 7-foot fishing boat, equipped with just a basic engine and a small fridge to store their catch. The plan was simple: a quick 30-hour fishing trip. The duo ventured 120 kilometers offshore, casting their nets with the ease of experience. But as they worked, dark clouds began to gather on the horizon. The weather turned ominous, and soon they found themselves staring at the heart of a ferocious storm. Their instincts screamed to flee, abandoning their nets in the process. The boat's engine roared to life as they tried to outrace the advancing tempest. For hours, they battled the storm, inching closer to the shore. But just as safety seemed within reach, disaster struck. The boat's engine failed. They were stranded, helpless, with the storm looming ever closer. As the waves grew taller and the winds howled louder, Jose's heart sank. They managed to send a distress signal through their radio, informing their boss of their precarious situation. But before help could arrive, fate dealt another cruel blow. The radio's battery died. Alone and powerless, they could only watch as the relentless waves pulled them further into the abyss of the Pacific. The storm's fury subsided after hours of chaos, but their ordeal was far from over. When dawn broke, the coastline was nowhere in sight. Their small boat had drifted 450 kilometers away from land in just 5 days. With no sign of rescue, dwindling supplies, and no tools for navigation, their struggle for survival had only just begun. As days turned into weeks, the vastness of the Pacific Ocean seemed infinite. No land in sight, no rescue on the horizon, and the two men, Jose and his partner, were left with a small, broken boat and fading hope. The first major challenge was hunger. Their initial food supplies ran out within 2 days, leaving them with nothing but desperation. One day, a bird landed on the edge of their boat, a rare sight in the middle of the ocean. The two exchanged glances, their eyes speaking louder than words. With precise timing, they lunged at the bird, but it escaped. Frustrated but determined, they waited. When another bird landed the next day, their patience paid off. They caught it, and for the first time in days, they had food. Survival instincts kicked in. Rainwater became a lifeline, carefully collected in bottles whenever the skies opened up. But when rain eluded them, thirst became their worst enemy. Jose devised a grim solution, drinking the blood of fish and turtles he managed to catch barehanded. The salty ocean water was poison, so this grotesque alternative was the only way to stay alive. As weeks turned into months, the psychological toll began to show. The isolation, hunger, and the endless sight of water took a devastating toll on both men. Jose's partner, overwhelmed by the harsh conditions and despair, started to lose his grip on reality. Despite Jose's efforts to keep his spirits high, the man succumbed to hopelessness. After 4 grueling months, Jose woke up one day to find his companion had passed away. Alone in the middle of the Pacific, with his only human connection now gone, Jose's despair reached its peak. But instead of giving up, he vowed to survive. The loneliness was unbearable. To keep himself sane, Jose began talking to imaginary companions, pretending they were real people. Every day became a battle against hunger, thirst, and his own mind. Despite the odds, Jose's survival instincts grew sharper. He learned to read the ocean, understanding the patterns of the waves, the behaviors of fish, and the signs of approaching storms. One fateful day, after 6 months adrift, Jose spotted a cargo ship in the distance. His heart leaped with hope. Frantically, he waved, shouted, and signaled with everything he could. But the ship was too far. It moved on, leaving him behind. The crushing disappointment was unbearable, yet Jose clung to life. Month after month, he drifted further, covering over 8,000 kilometers of open ocean. His clothes were reduced to tatters, his skin burned by the relentless sun. The man who had once been a skilled fisherman was now a shell of his former self. But even as his body weakened, his will to live refused to break. Day 439. The day that seemed impossible. After enduring 14 months of unimaginable torment, Jose's perseverance finally began to pay off. It was a moment that seemed too good to be true. As he drifted through the vast expanse of the ocean, something caught his eye, a sign of land. He saw coconuts floating in the water, and nearby, birds circled above. His heart raced as he realized what this could mean: an island. With renewed hope, he steered his boat towards the direction of the sighting, determined to reach the land he so desperately longed for. Hours later, after what felt like an eternity, he reached the shore of a tiny island. Ebony Island, the smallest inhabited island in the world, lay before him like a miracle. As his feet touched solid ground, he collapsed in exhaustion, overwhelmed with emotion. The feeling of earth beneath his feet was like a dream come true. He had survived, defying all odds. However, Jose was not alone on this island. After exploring, he found a small house, and soon after, a local man appeared. After months of silence, Jose saw another human being for the first time in over a year. But while the joy of survival was overwhelming, Jose's troubles didn't end there. The authorities were soon alerted, and when the local police arrived, they had a hard time believing his story. How could anyone survive for over a year on the ocean in a tiny boat, without food or proper supplies? They couldn't comprehend the sheer willpower and strength it took to endure such a journey. To prove his story, Jose called his former boss, who confirmed his identity and the fishing trip that had started it all. Although his survival was a miraculous tale, Jose's journey had taken an unexpected turn. Since he had landed in a foreign country without proper documentation, he was detained and later deported back to Mexico. But his ordeal didn't end there. The family of his deceased partner, who had passed away 4 months into the journey, filed a lawsuit, accusing Jose of cannibalizing his partner for survival. The emotional and legal battles that followed added even more pressure to an already extraordinary journey. However, as the dust settled, the story of Jose Salvador Alvarenga became known across the globe. He had endured 438 days at sea, shattering records and defying human limits. He even wrote a book, 438 Days, where he detailed every agonizing and triumphant moment of his incredible survival. Jose's journey taught the world a powerful lesson. No matter how dark and hopeless life may seem, resilience and determination can overcome the greatest challenges. His story is not just one of survival, but a reminder that in the face of insurmountable odds, the human spirit can endure and prevail. Jose's tale is one of inspiration and courage. When faced with overwhelming adversity, he didn't just survive, he triumphed. His story is proof that no matter how harsh the storm, how vast the ocean, and how deep the despair is, there is always a glimmer of hope. Keep fighting and never give up, because the tides can always turn in your favor. Thank you for watching, and remember, no matter how impossible the odds may seem, you have the strength to overcome them. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories.